আপনারা দেখছেন ইলেকশন 2015।
Welcome back. By this time of night, I'm sure Andrew Neil is on. See, this is the only show where you get two for the price of one. So I have somehow managed to calm them down. It's been very hard, but we start again. So Tina, I'd like to start with you. Your leader this morning, or your party this morning, announced that you're going to give a pay rise to the public sector. Just like the Tories, are you trying to bribe the public sector, millions of public sector voters to vote for you? And how are you going to pay for this?
I think it's unfortunate in terms of the timing of the announcement. I think that's unfortunate, but I think it reflects the boost in the economy, which is what we're seeing at the moment. So in terms of GDP, in terms of the amount of exports, small businesses, and generally across the board, we have seen an increase in our economic growth. And as a consequence of that, public sector, when we were looking at austerity, public sector took the brunt of that. And you could argue that that's
not true, because I run private businesses and we actually gave pay cuts in the private sector. I mean, all happened in the public sector. You froze payment, and we gave pay cuts to, when the 2008 recession came in, we had to decide, not only we had to let people go, we had to reduce pay of the working people who are still working, yes, in order to get through the recession. So you cannot say that
to get through the recession,
public sector took the brunt of the recession. No, the private sector is, I mean,
I didn't say the recession, I said austerity. And I accept
austerity followed recession.
No, the recession and austerity are two different strategies, sorry. I hate to split hairs.
Thank you for clarifying.
That's
I know
okay.
what austerity is.
I'm sure you do, but I think it's fair to clarify, because I don't like to mix these terms, because I want people to have very clear understanding. Now, when I said that they, in my view, public sector took the brunt of austerity, those salaries didn't rise. And on top of which,
hang on, the private sector salary actually fallen.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying private, I'm not saying that the private sector did or didn't. I'm talking about the public sector.
So you don't care what happens to the private sector, it's only the public sector.
You asked me a question, one question, I'm trying to answer it. We are not clear about the amount of people who went into job share in terms of public sector. We are not clear about the amount of people who were encouraged to take redundancy in the public sector, and we are not clear about the amount of people who didn't start their jobs in the so we don't have the figures which actually shows the full impact of austerity on the public sector. And as I said, you asked me the question, is it a bribe? I think it's unfortunate, but I think it also chimes very well with the economy and its upturn at this moment in time. And I don't think, bearing in mind our track record on managing finance, as
you said, the timing of it makes it sound like a bribe.
I think it's just poor timing.
Are you going to give similar bribes to the public?
Well, that's why we set out a costing manifesto, so people know where they stand with us and that we're not going to make promises that we can't keep. I think there are two ways in which we will help people in their pockets. One is by making sure that we're lifting the pay, particularly of the lowest paid, and we've talked about increasing the minimum wage to £8 an hour and giving businesses tax incentives to pay their workers a living wage.
What I don't understand is the government charges, gives the minimum wage, say £6.50, £8 and whatever it is, then charges tax on the minimum wage, employs people to collect those taxes, then gives it back in tax credit. I mean, if I run my business like that, I'll be out.
Tax credits were designed as a way of targeting the support to people
why are you charging taxes on the minimum wage, then giving it back in tax credit and employing people to do it? Why are we doing that?
But that's why.
That's why we're changing it now on the end. You've got people that could run a business,
it's a simple
running the country.
Reason. It's because the Labour Party do not have an economic plan like we do.
So why are you doing the same thing? If Labour did, if Labour brought in the tax credit where they tax the minimum wage, They employ people to collect it and give it back
No,
to
we
those
have-
people.
we
so
have
why did you not get rid of it?
No,
Why did you not get rid of
Right.
taxes on the minimum wage?
That's what we are going to do when we win the next parliament. We will legislate.
Why did you do
that
the last
so that-
one?
Because we had so much to deal with. What you have to remember is we had such a recession that we had to get the economy back growing.
No, you
And
probably,
this is a-
you probably would
this
have
is-
saved
we have
money.
reduced-
You probably would have
yes,
saved
yes.
money if you did not tax them in the first place, then employed people to
But
collect
what you
them, and
remember-
then give it back to
No,
them.
no,
So
but what
probably
you-
you would have saved money.
No, no, but what you've got to
Insignificant
remember,
amount.
we've took 25, we reduced
credit.
tax for 25
Insignificant
million
amount.
people.
Tax credit insignificant
right?
amount?
In
And we-
terms of the area that you're talking
So
about,
do you know how much the tax credit?
you're talking about the minimum wage tax credit, and I think I'm not quite 100% sure. I don't know if it's about 1.4 million. I'm not entirely sure the actual figure because I don't like to bamboozle people with figures. It's in terms of what you're describing, it would be insignificant. As I said, our debt is 1.4 trillion. So these little tweaks that we are doing in terms of raising the lowest, those on the lowest incomes, which is what we did, we raised up the amount of income that you can earn before tax. Tax credit is there to help those families on the lowest incomes so
Even if they're on minimum wage.
they can
Yes.
participate in the economy, that we all contribute to make it a success.
Okay, so parties' policies are still, we tax the minimum wage and give it back to them in tax credit.
I don't
And
think
wait,
they
wait,
tax
one
minimum
minute,
wage.
one minute. I mean, is it? I mean, you all
10.5
claim
before you
claim to
pay
be the
tax.
party of the hard-working man. I mean,
And woman.
and woman. Sorry, thank you, hard-working families, hard-working people. Is that the Tory line? You're trying to use. So, I mean, the Tory leader came up with a policy that they're going to give 30 hours of free childcare.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing your job for you. 30 hours of free childcare, which is worth about £5,000.
They've not said they'll pay for it. I mean, this is the irony of a party telling us they've got a long-term
that's
economic plan.
that's helping hard-working families.
Oh, it's lovely.
Who
Lovely
can
idea.
leave their
Why-
children
why
Where's
don't-
the money
why
in
coming
don't-
childcare and go
look,
to work.
There is a plan.
That's
where the
great
money's
coming from the Labour Party. Where's the money coming
Well,
from?
yeah. That's the last thing you
Let's
need
borrow
to
more.
ask.
Let's just borrow more. Don't worry about it.
I think it's one of the reasons why we've been getting
no,
back
no.
so much
But
ground
the-
on the economy in this general election, because people have appreciated we've set out really clearly a plan that doesn't require extra borrowing and is fairer. And we've been honest about
The
that.
Institute of Fiscal
you're-
Study has stated today that all you guys' plans have got a big gaping hole in it. Where you're getting the money, it does not add up.
We
Facts.
have for certain
I think they included
schemes,
your
we
party
have
too,
already
actually.
specified.
We've got all
where
the
they-
money coming in from
We have
our
already
cuts.
specified where the monies are coming from, but the important thing to remember
But
is
you have
we-
not. Your
Yeah,
party.
NHS,
Your,
no.
okay, let's
Where are they
let's-
cutting their money
let's-
from?
Let's look at.
I've told you where I'm cutting money
12 or
from.
13 billion of welfare cuts. Now, some of my viewers
From where?
are the poorest in society.
Taxing
Those
disability
12
benefits.
billion of welfare cuts. Where is it going to come from?
Right. We haven't said where it's coming from yet.
That's the
it's
so you
not
don't know,
from
you don't
welfare.
know.
No,
So
no.
it could be my grandmother who's on a pension won't get a
Disability
pension anymore.
benefits.
We'll be if it's the Labour, he's
Let
taking
me-
the £10 away.
Let me just say, right, one thing, what we
fuel
need to do
bonus.
is look at government costs, yeah? After all, this is taxpayers' money that is being spent. So we have to be economical and we have to
But we're
make
talking
sure
about
it is
welfare.
being,
There's
yes.
12
It
or
is not
13 billion of welfare.
Look,
Where is it
under
come from?
Labour, look, under Labour, and I'm a housing office manager, under Labour, people were getting £16,000 in benefits, right? And there were people who were working with a minimum wage of 25,000, and tenants, residents to me said to me, why should I be working? I get more in benefit. So what we have done is capped benefit, so it is fairer for people who are working.
Well, she's
So
with the
that-
food
bank, it's
right,
She's 100%
no.
right on that
Yeah,
because
we have made it fairer,
we had-
even with the spare room subsidy. Let me just finish. With the spare room subsidy, the Labour was scaremongering people, saying, oh, people are going to be homeless. But being a housing office manager, only 3% of our residents were affected, and majority of that decided to stay in the properties, and only
No, you're a
no,
property
it's a
expert.
fact.
No, listen, one
It
thing.
is a fact.
Honestly,
I work for a
Mina,
housing association.
know
and
what
I
Right,
know.
with your
No,
expertise in
Like
the...
but
that.
it's
London,
Labour
you should see what it-
scaremongering people, right? The
You should-
facts are there, and
Can I
you
tell
need
you
to
one
look
big
at
problem
it.
I've got with you? Because you're an expert in it. you're destroying the nuclear family by the bedroom tax.
We are
Our
not.
children
There
are being removed from the
no.
family unit
No.
because of economic problems
No,
and sent to
that's
other
a myth.
cities.
Yeah, that's
It's not a myth.
No,
I've got
there
a
may
friend-
be, look, we accept,
London
there
Borough
may
are
be
sending
one
people
or
outside
two.
to
Yes,
protest
they are.
Stevenage.
Listen,
And
there
I'm
may
so
be
opposed
one
to
or
it.
two families who are accepted, but it's not the greater scaremongering that Labour are making out to be. And it's not. Is it fair
I
that
would
a
happily
family...
take you around
that,
some
is
of
it
the
a
bleak
fair...
No, I agree.
let me
overcrowded
finish. Let me finish.
accommodation in my
Is it fair a
constituency.
one
It's
person
disgusting.
lives in a 4-bedroom house where the next door person is in a 1-bedroom, 8 people, they're overcrowded. And is it fair that the taxpayer
Just swap them around.
subsidise that,
Just swap them around.
No, I'm sorry, the
subsidise the
cruelty of the
3-bedroom
bedroom
benefits?
tax,
It
particularly
is
somewhere
not.
like London, is
It
the
is
idea you could have
making
just moved
tax-
out and downsized.
Yeah, but
Listen, it never used to be like that. Too, I'm a bit older.
Whose
Do you know
fault
how
is
it
that
used to
we do
be?
not have enough we do not have enough homes because the last
Success-
Labour
no,
government
come on.
have not
Success-
made...
One minute, guys, one minute. Every time.
Lowest level of house building since the 1920s on David
It was
Cameron's
under
watch.
Can I host the show?
For the last
Success-
5
I
years,
accept
we have
success.
built far more housing than the last Labour government
okay.
did.
We're gonna.
We are committed to
Okay.
building
One minute. Tina, you are just watching.
The
very
reality that we
politely.
don't have housing is because we sold it. That's the reality of it. We sold it.
But
And
you-
your-
no,
and-
you
But we
and-
did not. We sold it,
and
but
your
we
policy,
did not build enough.
and your
because
policy, and your
Labour failed
policy,
on that.
and your policy in your manifesto is you're going to sell some more. And of which, as I mentioned earlier, you've got commercial banks, 6 commercial banks, throwing money at the
Well,
mortgage market,
we've been through that
which
already.
is
But isn't it true? Isn't it to all of
and
them? I'm saying it to
exacerbating
all of you.
the housing-
We've been through that already.
the housing
So we've been
crisis.
through that already
Yeah.
now. Isn't it true that both parties, whichever comes to power, whichever government it is, we always say, we're not building enough houses. Why aren't we building enough houses? Whichever party goes into power, you're not building the houses.
Well, we have built more housing in the last 30
You
years.
claim you built more houses,
But
they
these
claim
are
you're not
facts.
building.
And there's no
These are
houses.
facts.
Mina, there's no houses.
These are facts.
Mina, you're making up as you go along.
No,
it's
I'm
not
not
true.
making-
We've
these
got
are
the lowest
facts.
level
Go
of
and
housing
look at the
standards. The good
independent.
thing is, one thing I will say, the good thing is, and what I was trying to say earlier is that successive governments haven't built enough, and I would happily and readily criticise
We need
the
more
last
social
government and this
housing.
government, and we do
So
need more
it's, you know,
social
it's a
housing.
very
But
important
the
issue.
good
Mina,
thing is,
wait, one minute. Mina, isn't it true even top-level Tories are against this bribe of the council housing?
It's not about bribe. It's
Of course
about
it is.
it is not about bribe. It's about giving people allowing to get on the property
No, come
ladder.
on.
It's
so
about
it's
it's about
give someone
people's-
£120,000.
We, under our government, right, under our government, we have increased the discount and far more residents have been able to get on the property ladder because people want to aspire, they want to become homeowners. And these are the natural...
before the election, they bring it out.
Why, if you want to help people get on the property ladder, why are you only helping the people who are on the council properties?
It's not only council, we've got the help
One minute,
to buy
why
things.
are you not? They're not getting £120,000
No,
pound
but there are-
discount.
these
you
are schemes.
you are not helping the majority of the public.
Can I just
No,
say
we-
about the
we are-
Housing
picked on.
Association right to
You
buy?
are getting rid of
No.
good assets which the government has
But it's-
for poor people
it's
to
not
to
just
live.
about-
So it's not about poor people. It's about giving the people who want to aspire the right to buy their own homes. And the fact of the matter is, we are helping all people, everybody
Look,
throughout the UK through our help to buy
so
scheme,
then,
through
therefore
our
the policy,
various
therefore the
schemes.
policy should be, if you're giving a council property or a housing association property discounts of £50,000, £100,000, then that should be available for the wider public. Anybody with a
So hang on a minute. The principle,
But these are-
behind it of helping people, particularly from low incomes, to get onto the property ladder, no problem with the principle. The problem with this new right to buy for housing associations, it's going to have 2 effects. One is it's going to sell off lots of existing affordable housing stock, and as we've seen in the past, it hasn't been replaced. The second problem is it will deter housing associations who, while successive governments, Labour and Conservative Lib Dem, have not been building enough themselves, housing associations have been stepping into the market. Now, if you're going to sell off those properties at a discount, not only are you losing stock, you're deterring housing associations from building
We
more
won't be
stock.
losing stock
This is
because
the
we will be
problem.
building 400,000
But there's also other
more
issues
houses.
involved
We will be
in
building.
this. When they're selling off
And
these
in
council
Barking,
houses
we've already
on lease,
started to build
okay, they're not
11,000.
freehold.
We haven't got much time.
No,
guys.
but this is really important.
We've
That
only
they-
got 5 minutes for the
okay,
show.
okay, but I'm
Can I
just
just
saying...
say,
5 minutes left.
in Barking,
Unless you
under
wanted to
this
go.
government, we've already started building 11,000 more homes, which the last Labour government failed to
Okay,
do.
good,
Thanks
great.
to Labour-led Barking and
Thank-
Dagenham Council, I think.
Well, no, but
Thank-
no,
thank
Politics, nothing to do with
very
it.
much.
And the
So-
Olympics.
But isn't it true? I mean, your party goes on, your leader goes on about the non-doms and so on and so forth. Isn't it true that the Tories are the only party who brought in charges for you to be a non-dom? So they are the only one who started taxing them. And you it's a populist policy to scare the people that, oh, these people are so good. So it's about divide and rule. Tell the majority of the people that these people are really, really taking advantage of
It's not
society.
just non-doms, it's non-doms, it's tax avoiders, it's bankers' bonuses, and it's people whose earnings, once they reach £150,000, we are going to ask all of those groups to pay a bit more. And that is because for the last 5 years, the government has balanced the books on the backs of the poorest and the most vulnerable.
But that's just
we don't think that's fair.
That is just a typical
Those
line
welfare
that you
budget
use,
cuts
yeah.
that you were just talking about earlier, maybe taxing disability benefits or more measures like the bedroom tax, that is not what we should be doing in order to balance the books.
So what you're
the poorest
saying is
didn't
fair,
cause
it's
the
all right
crisis.
to misuse taxpayers' money to give people who don't need it. I mean,
But I don't agree with
for
your
one,
premise that people on
accept that
benefits
people
don't
on
always need
no,
it.
no.
I've lived on a council
People
estate, my
on
mum
who-
got benefits. She
Guys,
did.
People who need benefit, we want to give the benefit.
Nicholas,
we haven't
you don't
cut
have
the
a say in
benefit.
it. You know,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it's
I
only
think they
fair.
can
give him a chance.
You know, if we vote Labour, I mean, you're going to frighten off all the people with the money, giving the jobs. You know, I don't think it's the right way to go. It's definitely middle of the road, and it's the sort of UKIP policies that will make the country balanced in this.
UKIP policies, Tina, that's the way forward.
I don't think UKIP is the middle of the road. I take on board,
Oh,
and I
from these two guys.
love your enthusiasm,
Okay.
but I don't think it's middle of the road. And I think the reality is I'm not actually going to tell people who to vote for. What I am going to say is this: there's a website called voteforpolicies.org, because I think you at home are reasonable, even-minded people, and if you go through that website and go through those policies, and the ones that you like you tick, and the ones you don't like you don't tick, and at the end of it it's going to give you a pie chart of who you should vote for, because those are the policies that are going to dominate us for the next 5 years.
Is this website made by Lib Dem? Because you're not allowed to
Absolutely
make
not. It was
party
made by
political
young.
broadcast,
It was made by young people, for young people, to help them determine who to vote for.
Okay.
Because like
Now,
this
we
program
only
is
have,
so
we only
confusing.
have 3 minutes left.
That's based on
We-
the
Nicholas,
manifestos that you've
Nicholas,
made
we only have 3
that we
minutes
can't
left.
trust.
We only have 3 minutes left.
No, it's
now,
a website,
we all
nothing
know.
to do with
Okay,
me.
okay.
But that's
Ladies
based
and
on
gentlemen, we only have 3 minutes
manifestos,
left. Now,
no?
the poll of
all the
polls.
manifestos.
Poll of polls today puts UKIP on 13%.
It's 14, I think.
14. They missed one. Labour on 33, and the Tories on 34. So clearly, nobody's going to get a clear majority to govern.
There's a lot of
So,
undecided
so
voters.
there is going to be a coalition. So you guys sitting together. I mean, I think thinking of forming a coalition.
We're not aiming for a
above
coalition.
my
We are
pay grade.
aiming for a majority win, which I think we will get, because there are a lot of undecided voters, and I think what people will realise.
Is it behind the characters in your party? They say, yeah, we'll just go with UKIP if they do.
No,
Yeah, it'll be a
we're not
political
aiming for a
coalition.
coalition at all. We are aiming for a majority win, which I think we'll achieve. And the reasons are because the people, the British people, are seeing the economy is growing.
Well, if
we
you do
have
not get a
strong
single vote
leader.
in Scotland, if
Yeah.
single MP in Scotland,
And-
single MP in Wales, and you're still going to come up?
Of course, because
With majority?
because people realise we've got a strong leader who can provide stability. We have a economic plan that will take people. We'll make sure we increase more jobs, businesses increase,
Wow.
people have a better, the living costs. There are,
Well,
the
these days,
living
you know,
costs are higher, because at this moment inflation is low, mortgage
the
is
most
low.
popular leader currently, isn't it Miliband Fandom or something
I
that's
don't
going on?
think so, no.
throwing
I'm
news
The
glad
thing is,
that
with
during
what
the
happens-
course of this election campaign that people are actually listening to what Ed Miliband's got to say and realising that actually the way in which Labour has learned from some of our mistakes in the past, but also our vision for the future, is about balancing the books in a fairer way and building a genuine recovery that people can feel in their pockets, and protecting some of the public services that people have seen decimated
If
during the
you
last
get
5 years.
totally wiped out from Scotland, okay,
That's a massive if. I don't think that's going to happen.
That is likely to happen.
That is
according to
likely
It
everything.
is
to
likely to
happen.
happen with
According to
the
the-
Yes.
election they had on the referendum.
The only way you can get into power is with the SNP. Are you going to
No, we're not going to touch the SNP with a barge
But
pole.
he
They
hasn't
say
said,
that
but
now,
Ed
but they
Miliband
most
hasn't said
probably
he
will.
won't, and Nicola
I mean,
Sturgeon
actually,
is
people
giving
should
you
vote
that
UK.
option.
Okay, we only got 1 minute
Our
left.
green economy, is, all of these arguments should be focused on our green, renewable and sustainable economy, and that's where the policies need to focus on, because it doesn't matter what we do for today, it's about what we've got for our future and our leadership going forward.
People need to vote
That's my
UKIP and they will get UKIP. Forget about these other parties. We'll put more money on the table. We've got the money to invest into the country. Nearly £100 million a day. We're the only party with a costed manifesto from an outside source. It's fact. Vote UKIP.
But isn't it that, again, all your policies is coming out of Europe and...
No, it's not. It's not. We're getting the money that they're getting. On top of that, we get £100 million a day. 30 million from foreign aid,
Thank you very
55
much.
from the
Thank you very
EU.
much. Guests, Mina, Nicholas, Fess, Tina, you've all been fantastic. Okay,
Thanks.
we're going to go off there. Ladies and gentlemen, our second show. Next week is our third show, and hopefully my last, because it's a 3-hour drive all the way to Newport in Wales. Thank you for watching, and see you next week. Thank you very much.